I'm Shelly, and this is Talking Knits. And this is my first podcast for Talking Knits. I own the Etsy shop, Starfish Knits, which sells coffee cozies made of cotton. Say that 3 times fast. And I make beaded stitch markers. I should have the beaded stitch markers coming up very soon, and when I do, I'll make sure to announce it in the next podcast. And in the meantime, you can find my Etsy shop down at the bottom of the links here. I am sorry, I can't really see my face. I last time when I was filming this, I kept adjusting my glasses, and I kept, it's just kind of a pain, so I took them off for now. I might have to pause for a little bit to put them back on, just in case I don't get it, just so I don't get a headache or anything like that. But anyway, a little bit about myself. I'm Shelly, obviously, as you can tell, and I'm 32. I live with my fiance and my cat Frodo, who is sitting behind the webcam at the moment. He really likes the sound of my voice, so sometimes he'll come over and rub on the camera, rub on me, but for right now, it looks like he's very relaxed and enjoying himself. Relaxing on the table that I have this on. Oh, and I spoke too soon. He is out looking. Anywho, so I live on the Missouri River in a city not too far from St. Louis. It's called St. Charles, and it is the county seat of St. Charles County, surprisingly enough. And you might not have necessarily heard of it. When you were in St. Louis, you might be thinking St. Charles, Illinois, which is closer to Chicago. Nope, this is the Missouri one. In fact, one of my friends asked me where I was from, and I couldn't really. I said St. Charles. They had no idea what I was talking about. And one of the people who had lived in St. Louis their whole life, they said, "You know where the airport is?" And the person says, "Oh yeah, I know where the airport is." And they said, "Take I-70 West and keep on going. And with any luck, you won't get pulled over." Anywho, so other than that, I like to spend a lot of time just doing goofy things. One of my favorite things to do is go to water parks with my fiance. We also like to do mini golf and laser tag just by ourselves. We don't have children, it's just me and him. And I also love to go to festivals. I love going to anything that has a lot of cultural type of things. Like last weekend, we went to the International Festival, and it was a ton of fun. We got all kinds of, we got to eat some Ethiopian food of all things. It's, the dish I had, I cannot pronounce to save my life, but it was really, really good. It was vegetables with just a little bit of meat, and it was just it was kind of spicy, but not as spicy as I was expecting it to be. And this weekend we are going to the Japanese festival. It is it's at Missouri Botanical Gardens over in the Shaw neighborhood, which is kind of Forest Park Parkway, place somewhere over there. And I went a few years ago. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to going back a second year. They have a lot of bonsai trees. They have some, interesting looking figurines and types of kimonos and stuff, and they actually they have vendors that have bubble tea. I actually had it for the first time when I went 2 years ago, and I just thought it was awesome, and I'm going to definitely check that out, as well as looking for one of the figurines, because my parents had bought me one when they went to Tokyo, and unfortunately it met its demise on the way over to my apartment, so I will have to find another one. But regardless of that, my main passion is knitting, and I've been knitting off and on since I was 8 years old. My grandmother gave me my first pair of knitting needles. She taught me how to do what is, I guess, a stockinette stitch, and I wanted to make a headband out of it, and unfortunately, when I got further toward the end, I had no idea how to take it off the knitting needles and everything, which led to it just being frogged. It was a sad day. So I didn't do it again for a while. I had, tried reading the books and everything, but then YouTube came along, and not only do you get me, you also get lots of tutorials on how to knit and how to do things like that. So I was quite happy to see lots of YouTube videos on knitting and got to learn a lot of different things. But one of the things that I settled on after a while was coffee cozies or coffee sleeves. It's either or. The ones that I make, they are made from cotton thread. It's a lot more sturdy than acrylic or wool blend, and not to mention it's very easy to get stains out of, and it'll keep your drink one temperature or the other. If you want it really cold, it'll stay really cold. If you want it really hot, it'll stay really hot. And not only that, it won't burn your hand. And this is my cat, he's down at the bottom here. Not everybody who makes coffee has those sleeves, as you will find out if you go to any place that's not a particular establishment that has them. Because I worked for a place that did not have the sleeves, and all the time people would be asking me if I had them, and I said, no, we aren't, I couldn't. With that in mind, I think one of the best things that you could do is to create a coffee cozy that you could reuse. That would be my cat's tail. Sorry. That you could reuse again and again, and wash it and be able to put it on the same cup of coffee without having to throw a bunch of things away. The other thing I do is beaded stitch markers. For those of you who are unfamiliar with knitting or have not knitted in the round, these particular type of stitch markers that I'm doing are for in the round. They use soldered jump rings, which looks like soldered. It's not. It's soldered, even though there is no T in the word. I have no idea where they came up with that. But either way, you don't want to have an open jump ring anywhere on a stitch marker that's going in the round, because if it snags, it snags. And if you have an open jump ring, it is physically impossible for you to close it. It is open whether you like it or not. And it will, especially if you have yarn that's very sensitive to pilling or anything like that, something that'll shed, then you don't want an open jump ring in your work. So I came up with this is one of the things that I use. I do a combination of store-made beads, and I actually do some of my own beads. I work with polymer clay, a couple of other things, and end up making some of my own beads. So you should see those within the next couple of weeks going to my Etsy store. I actually just opened it, and I'm working on setting it up, and it should be ready completely within the next week or two. And obviously, I'll put it on the podcast. And without further ado, let's get to the knitting. To knitting, I want to start with the FOs. FO is short for finished object, or in some of my cases where you're really not sure what it is, unidentified finished object. So this is one of them you can identify, I'm sure. This is a scarf that I made. Hold on a second. This is one of the first scarves I made. It is made with, it's a cake yarn, and for the life of me, I have no idea what it's called. Oh, it's the Yarn Bee Sugar Wheel, I believe. I got it from Hobby Lobby. And it starts out in this teal sort of color, and it goes down to a pinkish sort of color, my favorite color, and at the end here, it is navy blue, and it has tassels at the bottom, which are an unrelated thread. I got this at, I believe, Michael's or somewhere like that. Trying to see if it can focus in here. glossy enough. Judging that I don't have many glasses on, I'm not really sure how it's looking. And other finished objects, this is just kind of a placeholder in my Etsy store. I don't think it's probably gonna go for sale, and if it does, you're more than welcome to it. It will be there at a reduced rate. And here it is. It is just a plain garter stitch cup sleeve, and it is in the Karen Simply Soft Party, and it is a dark blue color, obviously. Like I said, I'm not going out of town. My family is, but I kind of like to have my own private space. So usually I'm here and they're there, and that's totally fine with me. And I believe this is all for today's podcast. I really hope you like it. I'm kind of new to this, and hopefully I will find better ways to film and a better place to film it. And yes, I know I don't have the most flattering silhouette. It's unfortunate, but I am doing a running program. It is called Couch to 5K. I'm sure you've probably heard of it, or have tried it. It's amazing, but it can be very painful if you're not used to it. But I plan on going out this evening on the treadmill and running out the second day. I mean, it's kind of a pain, but I really love doing it, and then it just kind of gets better with time. What 5K I'm going to run, I really don't know. We will see. Maybe there'll be something exciting. But that's about it for me. I hope you have a great day and enjoy some knitting. Bye!